Hello and welcome everybody to another Thursday night edition of Aquaholics Anonymous. I am Fishroom Fever and I am joined by my buddy, my pal, my co-host, my best friend, Chattanooga Ed. Ed, thank you for being here. I appreciate you hanging out and being my buddy. So we have not got a specific best fish or these 10 things to talk about tonight. Just wanted to kind of hang out with everybody, give everybody a chance to talk. We'll be taking questions and comments from the chat. You can put the @ symbol before Fishroom Fever, and that will highlight on my screen so it stands out, and I'll be reading those. But, I mean, honestly, this is about hanging out with you all and having a good time and, you know, hopefully helping some people with fish if they need it. So instead of us sitting up here this week and giving you a top 10 or anything like that, we're just going to hang out and shoot the breeze and have a good time. I do want to apologize in advance. And I also say this because I know some of you will mention it because you're good at reading my face. I don't feel the best tonight, so my apologies if I'm not the liveliest, but we're going to try and keep it, you know, in the standard spirit of things, if you will. So, Ed, I know you had a trip out of town this past week. I know it was family oriented, but I know you usually will at least try and do some fish things. Were you able to do any fishy stuff while you were out?
You know, I went to, I think, 3 or 4 different pet stores on my way up. Yeah, I wanted to, we wanted to hang out with Austin, but that didn't quite work out. Well, my family also wanted to go to all the pet stores with me.
Oh, nice.
Well, it makes it really hard to videotape anything when everybody's saying, ooh, this is a nice one. What's it? What's this? So I just gave it up and hung out with the family and pointed at fish at each one. But had a wonderful time. Austin was totally right on the 2 stores. He said, if there's one you go to, make sure it's this one. And if there's one that you don't go to, don't go to this one. Right. So I went to both of them. And
that's fair.
He's totally right.
Absolutely. Oh, I think that brings up a valid point. I find, at least for me, and it seems like with a lot of my fellow fish friends, particularly those that have YouTube channels, but even just, you know, enthusiastic hobbyists in general, that we often get looked at, we get deemed experts by other people. And I find that interesting. Do you find that happens a lot with you? People find out that you have a bunch of fish, or specifically like a YouTube channel, or go, oh, well, he knows everything. I'll just ask Ed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
I know I get that a lot. I'll have friends of Mrs. Fevers. They'll message her and be like, hey, he knows fish. Can you ask him what's going on here? And I'm like, it might be this, but I have no clue without looking at it. So I think there's some build up, and I always have found that funny. So I thought that was interesting. You brought up like, what's this? What's that? And it's like, you know, sometimes we just don't know, but nevertheless, we do our best. Patrick Hardy, how's it going? Appreciate you being here, and everybody else swinging through. Rico, Stan, what's up? I know we had some super chats, and I do want to say a thank you to some special people for sending, well, I guess, Ed and I out some gifts. Let me go ahead and flip over here while we've still got people rolling in, and we will say a big thank you to a few people now that, you know, YouTube's going to decide that it doesn't want to work right. Well, apparently, YouTube says I have no super chats. However, I know that Sean Chadwick did a $3 super chat, so thank you for that, Sean. I appreciate it very, very much. And if I had to guess, it would be the $3 thumbs up, fist bump.
Oh, maybe that's what it was.
So I appreciate that. Let me move the mic over there so we don't blow out the top earphones. Figure I give them a brief pause there. And I know I had the one from Rico Stan was a $5 super chat. I think it was along the lines of like stuff or something. That's literally like, he was just like, hey, words, here's some money. Rico, you're awesome. I appreciate you very, very much. I really, really do. Thank you, my friend. The stuff and something. There's the stuff right there. I appreciate that. Michelle Kinsey, everyone came through. $5 super chat for Michelle Kinsey. Nothing on there, just throwing some money at us. Michelle, thank you so much. Not expected, but very much appreciated. Very, very kind of you. And Michelle is another person that's been a supporter for quite some time with the channel and the Fishroom Fever family. So thank you, Michelle. I would grab one that had already been used. That is the one downside to like piling these up and not throwing them out, is sometimes I'll grab one that's been used like that. I need to pile those over there. Great show, right? Great show. John McKenzie, what's going on, John? Good to see you. I appreciate the $1 super sticker with the big brown pile of fertilizer, keeping the plants growing nice and healthy in the stream. Thank you for that, my friend. Thank you so much. Again, never expected, but always appreciated. I'm going to flip back over to the chat, and we will, of course, address and thank any other super chatters later on in the stream. I tell you, this one monitor thing is still kicking my butt. I have chat. I know I do. There we go. Boom. All right. All right. And thank you, Rico Stan. Yeah, I'm sure I'll feel better soon. It that's life, right? We don't feel fantastic all the time, but the show must go on. Biscotti Anya says, Fish from Fever. Hello. I got a print sub of Amazonas. Any good issues that you know of? Well, I do know we had our good buddy Rack from the Pond Life featured in Amazonas magazine in regard to Project Piava. I don't know like an issue number, but that would definitely be one to look for and check out. Other than that, I mean, it's all a good read. It's all a good time, right? There's a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but that's awesome. But I would definitely go check out that one with Rack from formerly River Life. I think he did that at the time. His channel was still River Life, but he's now Pond Life. But that is him. I just threw that out there in case anybody wasn't familiar. They went there and said, well, they said this guy, but this guy's River Life. So yeah, that same guy, same awesome dude. Lost Ed. There's Ed. There's me. There's chat. There's that. Blue Rhino Games, what's going on? Good to see you. Appreciate you coming back through. It says, how can I color up my African cichlids and make them grow faster? So a lot of times, in my opinion, and I know others have mentioned this too, one thing you can do, and we'll get into some dietary things, but one thing that can very much affect coloration on any fish is their environment. What color substrate are they on? Do they have really dull surroundings? Do they have really bright surroundings? Do they have really dark surroundings? That definitely can make an impact on how that fish shows. So that's one thing I would look at. Lighter substrate, sand, like some of the white pea gravels, some of the other, I can't think of the names, but the other lighter colored substrates, your beiges and that type of stuff, oftentimes will tend to kind of dull out a fish, especially bright, beautiful fish like African cichlids. I'm not saying throw the quote-unquote clown puke gravel in there, but sometimes a darker substrate can definitely help show some better coloration. And then, of course, you've got the way that you light the tank. I think we all just kind of do the standard, we're going to throw the light on top in the center of the tank in terms of front to back, and that's how we're going to light our tank. In terms of displaying your fish's color the best, you can actually play with that some. You can move it slightly to the front, and what that will do is when your fish are closer to the glass, if you're thinking about it, if I've got my light in the center, and I'm going to reverse this so the front of the tank's towards you all. If I've got my light in the center and the fish are toward the front of the tank, that light, they're backlit, right? So if you've got that light more toward the front in terms of displaying your fish's colors, as that fish comes closer to the front, it's not getting backlit. It's actually getting light on the front of it from that tank light, not just the ambient light in the room. So that's another just little trick that can help you enjoy your fish more. In terms of diet, not sponsored, but I 100% recommend Extreme. I know I talk about their foods a lot. They've got the nice pellet, which is the, well, here, I'm trying to remember it, and I don't feel, the naturally intense color enhancer. This is the stuff I use. It's a little bit smaller pellet. It's a 1.5 millimeter. So it's not a super teeny pellet, but again, you're better to feed something that's a little bit smaller than you might think they require than to feed a larger pellet that's like the exact same size of their mouth. Think of it in taking bites instead of, well, I could feed a whole I could fit a whole Hot Pocket in my mouth. Doesn't mean I want to shove the whole thing in there. I want to take little bites of it. So that's another recommendation. That stuff is done really well, not just in terms of the health, but also just really beautiful fish. I've switched over to pretty much exclusively extreme, a couple other things, but that's kind of the primary. And the fish love it, and they look great. So that would be my recommendations. Now that I've rambled on for 5 minutes, Ed.
Well, you're exactly. Oh, I mean, I agree with everything you said. I would for food. I would say high protein for bright colors helps a lot. And then he was totally right with the substrate. And I mean, it affects a lot more than what you think. Because shrimp really are affected by it, but even Corydoras. I got a whole bunch of bronze Corydoras a couple of years or last year, and I put some on black sand and some on white sand. The white ones are almost gold, and the other ones are like a dark bronze color. And it is amazing. They're from the same, not litter, but schools. I don't know if it's a spawn. They're from the same spawn. And it's amazing. They look like two different fish. It's crazy. So
yeah.
Substrate is a big one. I don't know a lot about African. Was it African cichlids?
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of times it may also be if there's females in African cichlids, because you'll have one dominant male showing all the color and he'll pound other guys that start. So if you just want bright, pretty cichlids, you may want to go with an all male tank, and then the boys will just all show off for each other. Otherwise, they're going to be fighting for the girls, and you're going to see some beat up guys that don't shine, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And I did notice. Oh, sorry. I was just going to say I did notice he mentioned after that they are on black substrate. So that's a great start. Again, I would look at the dietary thing. And then typically, our African cichlid tanks are not really planted tanks. So the light on them is not. We don't have that primary importance. If I need to get the light where the plants get it best, so try shifting the light toward the front of the tank, and get that light shining on them from the front versus backlighting them. I think you'll enjoy that. It sounds like with putting in the rocky substrate and the natural look, always my preference to get them as close to a natural environment. I don't want to use the word biotope because I don't think we ever truly achieve biotopes in the hobby. We get close sometimes. But yeah, I think you'll end up with a nice looking tank.
Here's another one is they might still be young. As they mature, they're going to be brighter. If you go to a fish store, most of the fish are smaller, and they grow big.
Yep.
But I mean, you'll look at like a geophagus or, you'll see a lot of these fish that don't look anything like they do once they get older. And it's just because, people naturally want to buy big, pretty fish. So a fish store will take them and sell those. But for the overall experience of a fish, you probably want it young so you get to see its whole life. You don't want a fish, it's only got 2 weeks left on its life, or a month, or maybe just a year if it's a 5-year fish. So but once they mature, they'll be beautiful. Angelfish and discus do the same thing.
Absolutely. Let's see, next thing I've got here. Biscotti Nanya. Do you know the date by chance? It's way easier to find it with a date. LOL.
It's the 29th.
Gotcha. Now, I'm not sure what date you're looking for. I'll keep an eye out. Just let me know, and I'll be happy to let you know what date you're looking for. But I'm sorry, I'm missing the references probably because I'm not in my finest at the moment. Thank you, Zen, for mentioning it. If you do put that @ symbol on there, it highlights. It's actually orange on my screen, and it really stands out. So it helps me not miss questions or comments because we hate missing things. And we want everybody to feel like they're part of the show, part of the family.
Real quick, while you're looking for something, I do have one date I'd like to shout out.
Absolutely.
August 7th. James and I will be doing a live talk at the Chattanooga Aquarium Club in Chattanooga, and I don't know the location or the place. Sorry. I meant to get that link in, and I was going to send it to Zen so she could pop it, and I forgot all about that. But James and I will be doing that. If you look up the Chattanooga Aquarium Club, you'll find it that way. And maybe we'll have it by the time the next stream rolls.
Absolutely. And I will say, and I did see we had a couple new members join. Thank you so much for that. I will come back and thank you both personally and individually here in a moment when we get to the Party Popper segment. But I mentioned that because it will be available to watch live for the members. Ed and I are going to stream that talk as we're doing it, and Rico has volunteered to help basically communicate some questions from the live internet audience to us while we're doing the talk. So we can do the talk there, take questions in person, take questions off of the internet from you all, some members, incorporate you all, and just have a great time. Hello, R&B Animals Rescue. I say R&B every time. RB Animals Rescue. Good to see you. Appreciate you being here. Blue Rhinos Games. There again mentioned black substrate, making the tank more rocky like their environment. Yeah, I think it'll do well. Like Ed mentioned, age, maturity, and then lighting and diet, and you will be in good shape, my friend.
But also look at aggression, because a boy may not want to get beat up and he won't shine, or he won't get bright because he's afraid.
Absolutely.
And then there's also boys that are just sleeper boys that try to pretend like they're girls and they sneak in at the last minute.
Right.
The girly fish.
Absolutely. Paul Sotero, what's going on, Paul? One of our awesome members. Thank you and congrats. I see you've got the 1 year icon there for your membership, so I appreciate that. It says, James, I've added a new food to the mix, which includes extreme flakes and pellets. It's PE mysis pellets and flakes. The fish just go crazy when I feed it to them. So I have tried the PE mysis, and it is very good stuff. I've got it available locally now. I've just gotten to where, I've nothing against it. And like I said, I do use it, but extreme has kind of become my, main thing. But yeah, no, it's awesome stuff. And I definitely recommend it if for some reason you can't get extreme, which I will say, I think that's a good segue. I should have played. I feel like I wish I had planned that because then I could take credit for it. But that's a great segue to say a huge thank you to John and Lisa at KG Tropicals. They sent out a shirt to me, and then Ed jumped on, and he's got the shirt. So huge thanks.
Yeah.
I appreciate the little note. And, of course, I love my stickers. The awesome stickers. KeepFishKeeping.com. I mentioned that because if you can't get extreme locally, you can snag it there. But again, seriously, thank you, John and Lisa. Appreciate everything you all have done for myself. And I think I can speak enough for Ed to say for him as well. We appreciate you. We really do. And I'm enjoying rocking the new shirt. But yeah, great stuff. I'm glad that your fish are enjoying it, Paul, and I appreciate you sharing with us, my friend. And of course, it's always good to see you in here every single week, showing love, dropping information. People will credit, Ed and myself because it's our show, quote unquote. But really, it's the family, it's the team that makes this a thing. The people like Paul, and you've got so many others, and I'm not even going to start listing them because I'll miss somebody's name, and I don't want to miss somebody's name. But I'm using Paul because he's the one talking. That are in here on a weekly basis. They drop information in the chat. He was telling us about the rock prices at Lowe's for aquascaping last week, and that's a part of it. Without those aspects of it and those other people helping other people in the chat, it just wouldn't be the same. I mean, yeah, Ed and I could still sit up here and talk and share what we've learned, but it's so much better when you've got 20 people that all have experience with something. At least it wasn't a coconut. The coconut's still up here. I got to bust this thing open and make that video. But
you should drink that. Maybe it'll make you feel better.
It might, or it might make me have to pause momentarily repeatedly. But we're going to leave that one alone. But yeah, I appreciate you, Paul.
We also got some other mail this week, James, from Matt F. He sent us some stickers.
Awesome. Thank you, Matt.
And I'll make next week, hopefully my internet will be working in the basement again so I can have the show from the fish room again. And we'll make this in the KG into magnets. But he sent a few of them, so I'm going to give you some, or half of them, James.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I was going to offer you some of these, and then I saw you had the shirt, so I assume that you've got some of the fish keeping KG Tropicals ones. And that was nice. I will say also that it wasn't just a sticker. It's a nice little stack of stickers. So I love that because I could put one on the tank with all the Fish Fam stickers. I could put one on the laptop. I can kind of spread those around. All right. Fishaholic, what's going on? Saying hey to myself, Ed, and hope all is well. Absolutely. I hope you're doing well, my friend. Always good to see you. I always appreciate you swinging through. Rico Stan says, hope we could do a dry run to figure out the exact process. Yes, so that will actually be fairly simple. Streaming with one camera is super, super easy with YouTube. It's when you get multiple cameras, specifically people in different locations, it can get somewhat frustrating depending upon how, good your tech is. But yeah, that one should be super easy. So that... I'm looking forward to it. And again, I appreciate you, Rico. I really do. Everything you do, my friend. Blue Rhino's Game says, I got them about 6 to 8 months ago, and they were juveniles, no bigger than an inch, and got them from a breeder off eBay after my first and only cichlid died in a decoration. I am sorry to hear about that other one. Know that you are not alone in that. A lot of us have dealt with the fish dying in a decoration before. That's one of those you live and you learn processes. That was, again, referencing back to the African cichlid question previously with coloration. But yeah, I mean, you should start getting some really good colors out of them. Just take those other things into account that we mentioned. That should help. And if not, you're always free to hop in and say, hey, I tried this and I'm still having this issue. And we'll see if we can't work from there. Go ahead, buddy.
You know what? I just had one other horrible thought. It also depends on where you bought your fish. We don't know how, if you got them at a local fish store, if you got them at a box store, if you got them from some guy who's muddied the lines with other fish, that could also be a factor of
That's true.
The end game. Just throwing that out there because there's been plenty of times when you'll see, let's take angelfish for an example. You'll see a lot of angelfish at PetSmart. And they'll never look better than what they look there because they just never change. Because they're just it's like they're mutt guppies, but they're mutt angels,
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean, that's a very valid point. We didn't talk genetics really. That definitely will play into it, which of course goes back to, like you mentioned, where'd you get them from? Who bred these things? What did they do? Good point. And Blue Rhino had also mentioned, just grab it here. I don't see it now, but had mentioned having a wave maker in there to help curb aggression. So that will definitely help with the aggression. Just make sure you've got some break points in there. And by that, I mean that there's not consistent flow throughout every part of the tank. You've got some places that are a little bit calmer so that they don't have to fight the current. So it's not a constant struggle to keep in one place or to move around the tank, because that can actually cause stress, which is going to typically make them lose some color, which is the exact opposite of what you want, besides it just being stressful on the fish. So yeah, that would be my only comment on that. Just make sure that you're not full blast every part of the tank, and I think that'll work out perfect for you. Biscotti knowing you says, thanks for all that you and Ed too. Where do you envision the channel 1 year from now?
Hopefully still on Thursday night.
Yeah, hopefully still on Thursday nights.
Consistency is good.
Exactly. We won't be calling it Aquaholics Anonymous, but we'll still be here. We cycle through some things. No, I don't expect us to not be on Thursday nights, but that is a very good point. We started, you have the nocturnal feeding show. We switched that to your channel because you and I are a team, or almost like a married couple. In terms of the channels being joined together. I'm like, I can't just, Ed's my buddy. He's part of it. He's part of the team, part of the family. But we started with the.
Yeah. Well, I would love it someday to not even have my channel, and we'd be so big, Oh my gosh, there's like a police car going off next door.
Oh wow. Uh oh. They found the Tennessee Fish Mafia.
Oh well.
Yeah, I mean, we started Thursday nights. There were several other people that streamed on Thursday at that point. There were a couple people that went after John and Lisa with KG Tropicals. So for anybody that's not familiar, we started. I think our initial time was 12:30 in the morning Eastern time. It was technically a Friday show, and part of that had to do with my work hours. I can never guarantee really being off earlier, but the plan, or at least for me personally, and I've shared this before, but the plan was always to outlast everybody, to be like, well, I'm just going to keep doing this thing until other people decide they're not doing it, and eventually, we'll get that prime time slot, following John and Lisa at KG. And that's where we are now. We've changed the name a bit. Like I said, we switched Nocturnal Feeding Show over to Ed's channel, Feeding Your Late Night Hobby Hunger. I still like that one. A lot of people don't care for it, but I'm still proud of that one. I will be, and this may be because I don't feel well, that I'm going to speak a little out of class. I'll be honest. If I do the things I need to do that I've not been doing, weekly videos, things of that nature, and get the things done that need done, I think that the channel could do well. And I'm not saying that from like, no. Just looking at the numbers, when I was doing the things I needed to do, people enjoyed it. When life kind of smacked me in the face and curb stomped me a little bit, that shows in the numbers. But we're not going anywhere, I guess is the point on that. We're not going anywhere. We've got awesome things happening, new things. Like Ed mentioned, we've got that talk coming up. That's my first talk. That's Ed's first fish talk. We've been asked to do a second fish talk, so that's really, really awesome. We've got things like Chicago Aquashella. That was something that was really, really cool for me, because when I started this channel, and I'll keep this brief. I'll shut this down because I want to answer your question, but I don't want to get way off of fish talk, so to speak, for all the awesome people that are hanging out. Like, we want to hear about fish, and I don't blame you. But basically, when I started this channel, I had no expectation of any of that stuff. I set a goal, and I was like, I'm going to get the 1,000 subscribers and the watch hours, because that's how I can reach more people, and that's how I can help more people, which is what it's about. I very much what John, says, keep fish keepers, fish keeping. That very much resonates with me. That's why I'm here. That's why I started, because kind of like we mentioned before, people found out I had fish, and then they came to me for help. And I wanted to make myself available to help as many people that I could. Not that I'm an expert, not that I know everything. I just have the experience. I would relate it to people say, well, how did you get 15 years of management experience in, 8 years or 10 years of adult work history? It's, working 2 full-time jobs. When you're doing 50 tanks at a time, you get 50 times the amount of experience, if you will, than if you're just doing one thing. You can learn, oh, well, I kept angels in this and that and all these things at the same time, versus, well, I kept angels for 5 years and now I keep African cichlids. So those are kind of my experience points, versus doing all the things, for better or worse, sometimes worse, usually better. But it's helping me learn what everything needs, what works for me, what doesn't work for me, which is all we can offer. And I think I'll cut it there and get back to the fishy talk and the questions. But yeah, hopefully, I get life back on track, and I can get the channel back on track. And we'll go places. We'll leave it at that. We've got a lot of awesome things happening. We've got all you awesome people here. I'm going to click the other screen. Got about 100 people hanging out with us tonight. That is awesome and very much appreciated. I never had the expectation to have 100 people hanging out. I mean, things, we've been blessed. So in terms of where do we foresee things going, you never know, but only up from here. All right. Scroll on through here. Aquaholics says, James or anyone in this chat can help me with the tail rot, both bacterial and fungal. Got a T-barb. What do you guys use to treat them other than Melifix? Info appreciated. Thanks. Ed, do you want to go first? I've been fortunate that I've not really had to do a lot of treatments. I'm a huge API fan, but I keep medications on hand and I don't have to use them too much.
Yeah. I run into more parasites than anything when I do anything, but I would probably just do salt in a quarantine tank.
Yeah, I mean, salt in a quarantine tank fixes a lot of things. Ask our Canadian friends. They can't do medications. It really is. I don't want to say a cure-all because it's definitely not a cure-all, but it's something that just kind of helps them out. Something that I find that's not quite along the medication line, but it's not just salt. It's called Stress Zyme. It's a CChem product. It comes in a purple bottle. Got it out there. Let me see if I can pull it up to verify that because I always screw up. I'm pretty sure it's Stress. No, it's not Stress Zyme. No, see, that's the API one, which Stress Guard. I bet it's Stress Guard. Sorry, as soon as I see the bottle, I'll know it, so I'm Googling it. Yes, Stress Guard. CChem product, white and purple bottle. It's actually got some antiseptic properties, which, as we all know, if you're not feeling well and you get something that numbs the pain a little bit, that could help you heal up. So it kind of adds an additional comfort level without going full-on medication. So salt, maybe a little bit of that, and give them some time. And that typically will get things back on track for you. Get your fish feeling better, get your fish looking better, and you can get them reintroduced back in with everybody else.
Yeah, the salt, actually, it doesn't cure them. It helps their body cure themselves.
Yep.
Because the salt helps keep the water from getting into their body, which is a constant stress. And so the salt is basically a stress reliever that'll help, hopefully, because the stress from the disease or the fungus or whatever, that their own body will naturally fight it.
T-Bones Fishies, good day. Appreciate you being here. Always good to see you, my friend. All right. Xanadu says, oh, man, I had to buy my KG Tropical shirt and my Fish Room Fever shirt and the FRF/Ed mug, LOL. Happy to support all the awesome creators. Xanadu, I do really appreciate it. We really, really do. I'll defer back to a comment that Ed made one time, and he shared it before, so I know he doesn't mind me sharing it. I know I'm not speaking out of school, if you will. He said, I just want to get big enough so that people send me free T-shirts, Yep. And yeah, that's exactly it.
Shirt.
I mean, it's one of those awesome things that when you're, you open a package and you get a free shirt, or you go to an event and someone's like, here, have a T-shirt, or you show up at the local fish store. I've got a CJ shirt that my LFS gave me. It's like, yes, free shirts. This is awesome. I wear shirts. I love fish stuff. I love, a lot of different fish companies. So absolutely, let's do it. But yeah, I do appreciate you very much, Xanadu, longtime friend and supporter. Lunatic Fringe, what's going on, my friend? Says, yes, it is extremely a good point in knowing the breeder to explain the lines of fish that he has, and its reputation comes into play as well in guppies or any fish. Absolutely, Chewy, or to Lunatic Fringe, 100%. Genetics is a factor in everything. I mean, just like with us, you have genetic predispositions in people. It factors into life. I'll just leave it at that. It factors into life, no different with your fish. So it is always great if you can find out, a little bit about where your fish are coming from, to know, oh, hey, these are probably going to be some really good fish, or I don't know, you've been doing this and that genetic line's a little bit muddled. I might want to not do that. So absolutely. Lefty 3213A say Fish Room Fever, what you doing tomorrow around 4:00? Going to be brutally honest with you, Lefty. I will be asleep. My current sleep schedule is anywhere from 1 to 2 in the afternoon until about 8 in the afternoon, or 8 in the evening rather. I don't know what you would call that, but yeah, that is my bedtime. Were it not tonight, and I could adjust my schedule so that I could like sleep different hours and be up tomorrow. I do want to get on your show, buddy. I do, but right now my sleep schedule is just awful. I mean, it's consistent, but it doesn't help for things like getting on, your show and things like that. But I definitely want to get on there and hang out with you. I do enjoy it. And I love what you and Ed do. It's always a fun time. A variety show.
It is. And I can't wait till tomorrow because I've got a lot of stuff to share and talk about.
Absolutely. Well, for anybody that's not familiar, you want to tell us a little bit about what you and Lefty do on Fridays?
Yeah, on Lefty's show, he should pop the link so everybody knows where it is. I get together with Lefty and we talk about movies and games and just kind of fun stuff all around the board. We'll talk fish, but we'll talk everything else. So it's just a great time, and I always enjoy hanging out with Lefty on Fridays.
Absolutely.
Oh, and maybe we'll do one together in Chicago here soon. Just saying.
Yeah, that would be very, very cool.
Yeah, we might be able to meet up and actually do that. That'd be cool.
Let me see. I saw one that's not highlighted. Let me see if okay, here we go. Hatchery Man says, paid for FedEx overnight shipping. Fish did not show up today. Website saying tomorrow. How do I hold FedEx accountable?
Good luck.
Yeah, this is in my experience, you don't. You can't. It can vary, region to region, whatnot, distribution center. But what I have found is that when mistakes happen, they just, and this goes for all shippers. When mistakes happen or things are delayed, it's usually something on as well. It wasn't guaranteed, or if you read the fine print, it's guaranteed unless, or things of that nature. I had even on a guaranteed, so I had a replacement phone sent out to me at one point, a $900 cell phone. It showed delivered, not on the porch to make sure the kids didn't get it. Wasn't there, wasn't delivered to my house, wasn't delivered to the address. So I called them. Hey, this is showing it was delivered. It was not delivered here. How do we correct this? This is not, it's not a magazine. It's not just a $5 Amazon package. This is an almost $1,000 cell phone. And they're like, well, the driver has up to, it was either 24 or 48 hours. But we'll just go with 24. The driver has up to 24 hours to retrace his steps, figure out where he put the package, and try and get it back. Until that time frame is up, we don't do anything. So it's like, okay. And I actually ended up tracking the package down. I went knocking on neighbors' doors and found it. But even in the instance of they delivered it to the wrong house, they're still just like, it's not really our problem. Our driver's going to go back and try and figure out where he put it. But we have to give him time to do that before we can even, send something to the company saying, hey, we screwed this up and delivered it to the wrong place. So even in that instance where they actually were, like explicitly screwed up on their part, they're still like, man, whatever. You're just gonna have to wait and see what happens. Geek Boy says, I never managed to hold any of the shippers accountable, even with arbitration. Yeah, it's about impossible, unfortunately. The good news is chances are your fish are probably fine. Most fish handle shipping fairly well and can tolerate being bagged a lot longer than we typically think. I will say, I used to be the type of person that, like, even with a local fish store that's 10 minutes away, I'd be like, oh my God, I got to get these fish back and get them floating and all that. And I got to hurry. And throw them in a bucket, drive from Florida to Tennessee. They'll be okay. I used to be a lot more worried about things. And then I come to the realization that fish are a lot more tolerant than we often give them credit for. may not be, the example in your particular instance. There may be specifics. It might be a specific fish, or might be, certain temperatures in your area to cause concern. I'm just speaking from personal experience. I used to freak out a lot with bagged fish and how long they were going to survive. And I've learned not to stress over it as much. So maybe that's the issue. Maybe, I won't say issue, but maybe that helps a little bit. Maybe you can not stress quite so much. All right. Oops, it jumped on me. You roll back up here. All right, there was Lefty asking. Again, Lefty, I'd love to get on there, but I'll have to get my sleep schedule adjusted to where you're not doing it, or where it's not my nighttime while you're streaming, I guess is the best way to put it.
And James, when you were saying that, I was laughing, but it was about something I read in the chat.
You're fine, buddy.
I wasn't laughing at you.
With the single monitor, I keep actually both of us are covered up by the chat here because I don't really have another place to put it unless I put it like over here, and then I can't even remotely look at the camera because it's there. But you're fine. I appreciate that, Ed. Blue Rhino Games says one of my cichlids, him in particular, keeps on flashing at night. Not sure about during the day because I have other things I need to do as well, but not sure if that's normal or what. I would not personally take that as a sole and solitary reason to be concerned. If it's just him, how do I want to phrase this? So let's say, I don't know, some sort of fluke or parasite or something that might cause them to, hit the sand or flash or, rub on stuff. Typically anything like that is going to be on multiple fish, right? So if you just have one fish that's doing something a little different, I usually am not too stressed about it. It's okay that one fish is doing this. Keep an eye on it, of course, like you're already doing. But I don't typically get concerned or panicked about it unless I see something that might be impacting or affecting multiple fish in the tank. What about you, Ed? I know you've kept more Africans than I have. Technically, I've had Africans, but they were all Mrs. Fevers, so.
Oh boy, what was the? I'm sorry, I was gonna thank Melissa. What was the question?
Ed, I need you on the show. No, I'm just kidding. It was Blue Rhinos. Says one of my cichlids, him in particular, keeps on flashing at night. Not sure about during the day because I have other things I need to do as well. But not sure if it's a normal thing or what.
He might feel that it's safest to flash at night to not attract the other guys. It's maybe a defensive flash, but he wants to still show off for the girls. I don't know.
Yeah, I was
crazy.
I just said I wouldn't be concerned about it if it's just one fish that's doing it. If it was like a parasite or a fluke or something, you probably have multiple fish that were doing it or trying to rub off a parasite. So it's probably not anything health related to worry about.
Yeah, it's all fish are different. I've been moving those corridors I was telling you about earlier that have changed colors into the same tank, into my 125. And it has a green killing machine. And I use it more just for the water flow in it. And the corridors absolutely love it. They're constantly getting in it. And they just look like jets. But one of them likes to swim half the time upside down. And I always have to look at him like, is he sick? And then he goes right back and goes with the rest of them. But he's apparently the one pilot that, fish do some weird stuff.
They really do. Particularly at night. And I bring this up because you mentioned at night. I have one angelfish that barrel rolls while it quote unquote sleeps. It's a one-eyed fish and it swims fine. But I've come in at night, and I've mentioned this fish before. Come in at night, and it freaked me out the first time I saw it because it's just doing barrel rolls through the tank, and I was like, "Oh my god, it's dying! It's done." But it's an every single night thing. But if I didn't observe it at night, I would never even know that it did it. I'm going to grab these 2 questions / comments real quick, whichever they may be, and then I'm going to say some thank yous. So now we had some awesome members join, and I do really appreciate you all. Sarah J. Sieber says, "Hey James and Ed, I'm here chilling, still recouping. Got to do some tank maintenance this weekend. The surgery put me behind. Glad I caught y'all live this week." Sarah, I'm glad you're doing well. I'm glad you're recouping. I'm glad you're here. I appreciate it. It was awesome getting to meet you down at Aquashella. And I wish you a speedy recovery, and hopefully you can get caught up on the tanks. Don't let it stress you too much. But glad to have you here. I'm glad you're doing well, my friend. Amanda Jean 165 says, Fisher Fever, what would the dose of salt be? I dose according to the packaging. And I say that because one salt company, I don't know how to phrase this, a company could put out salt that's not just salt, and it could have some weird thing in it. And if you overdose it, it's bad. And I don't know that company even exists. So my recommendation is always read the packaging and go from there. That way I'm not giving you something crazy because you got a one-off thing that has something I don't know about that's not just salt. Just follow the directions. That's what I do. Honestly, I don't use salt enough, or I don't have to use salt enough, I guess would be the best way to put it. When I pick up the package, and I do this with everything, even, wow, I can't think of the name of it. Prime. That's what I use for dechlorinator. Thank you. Even my Prime, I know it's 1 milliliter per 10 gallons. I still pick it up and I look at the bottle just to validate. It's almost like a trust but verify thing that's built into my head. So I'm always looking at the packaging. Also, you never know. Maybe I get a new bottle. They've changed the formula. That's happened before. Maybe the next time I pick it up, they've changed it and 1 ml only treats 5 gallons. So it's always good to just look at the directions and know exactly what you've got in that exact bottle or package in your hand.
You know what? I have never measured it out. I just go by drips. I pour it into the cap and I say, okay, it looks like about 5 gallons. Bloop, bloop. Like 2 drips for 5 gallons.
Absolutely.
If the fish have died, that's horrible.
It's kind of
that's horrible.
Ed takes the baking approach. We're just going to do a dash of this and a pinch of that. And we're going to throw it. I mean, I can appreciate that. Honestly, that just goes into familiarity with your fish. It's like, hey, I know this. I would kind of relate that along the lines of, once you've been in the hobby for a while, you can typically look at a tank and particularly your own fish and go, everything's doing well or something's off. You get accustomed to it. There's that familiarity. So I can appreciate that. All right. For anybody that is on headphones, I will let you know we're about to do some party poppers, say some thank yous, and some applause from the audience. We do have several new members, and I do very much appreciate that. A couple rejoining, a couple brand new to the Fish Room Fever family. We've got Ash Lightcloud, new member. Welcome to Team Bristlenose. Welcome to the Fish Room Fever family. Thank you so much, Ash. Very much appreciated. Again, that talk that Ed and I are doing, and not too long from now. Time really flies. Really, really does. It's going to be members only. It will be live, and that will give you all a chance to not only get to see it, but also to be able to ask questions if you have any questions regarding that when we do it. We've also got Drinkwater became a new member. Welcome to the Fish Room Fever family. Of course, all the members, you've got access to the behind-the-scenes uploads and things, along with the members-only emojis in the chats, and when you do leave comments, if you're a comment person. If you're not, I get it. I understand. I don't leave a whole lot of comments myself. Thank you, Drinkwater. Welcome and glad to have you along. Melissa Jeswald re-upped. She rejoined. She's actually got her 1-year badge. She's been a supporter and a member of the Fish Room Fever family for a while. Thank you for that, Melissa. And again, congrats / thank you for being a member for a year now. Very, very awesome of you. When I started the channel, somebody asked about where do we plan to be. When I started the channel, you had to have 25 or 35,000 subscribers to be eligible for memberships per YouTube guidelines. YouTube has, of course, since changed that. So memberships was not even a thing in my head. So that's one of those things that happened that was not a foreseen thing. That's awesome and appreciated. I was like, what the heck? We'll turn it on. Never really expected it to go anywhere. And now we're getting close to 100 members. So that's amazing. And I do very much appreciate you all. Welcome back, Melissa. And then we have one more that, of course, YouTube never shows me the latest thing. Let me see if I can find it over here on my chat. I'm going to find you. Had another member, I do believe. Yep, it was another member. It was Eduardo Antonio Arango Costa, welcome to the Fish Room Fever family, my friend. I hope I got all that correct. I think I did, but I'm also not peak top of my game. But I appreciate you. I really, really do. I'm not going to make any promises on anything. I am working on some stuff, but it's coming along horribly. It really and truly is. The progress is just not there. But I appreciate you. Welcome to the family. Thank you so much, my friend. And it's good to see you. I think you're new to the channel as well. You might be one of our observers / lurkers. But it's great to see the name.
I like the name.
Yeah, I appreciate you being here. I do too. I feel like I would very cool name. Very, very cool name. Got some charisma to it, I guess is what I'm looking for here. All right. And I'm going to grab this one. Paul Sotero. I saw this pop up in the background there with $5 super chat. Thank you, Paul. Not expected or required, buddy. Really, really not. Everything you do, just showing up and helping out and sharing your knowledge, more than enough. But very much appreciated. Said, here's some more fertilizer for our 1-year anniversary, and 5 piles of brown fertilizer in that super chat. So thank you, Paul, my friend. I've never met you, but there's so many people on here that I consider friends that I've never met, and you kind of forget you haven't met people. That one went off right in the finger. That didn't feel good.
Oh, did it actually hurt?
Well, and then just a little sting. I wouldn't say hurt, but it definitely some powder in there.
Wow.
And
there's Ray.
All right. Let me find my chat real quick. Let me find Ed real quick. So we're coming up on the 1 hour mark. All right. People don't read the directions. Yeah, Whips World saying that. Absolutely. A lot of people don't read the directions. All right. Let me scroll up here. There we go. Rico Stan says, I did love the shirt, but the quick note from Lisa was even better. Yeah, so Lisa did write a note on the packaging slip, and that was very much appreciated. Absolutely. I thought that was cool. But,
very nice.
Took the time to do that. So a special thank you, Lisa. John's a jerk. He would never do that. I'm just kidding,
and
John. Just kidding.
Lisa said that I'm her favorite on the show.
I know. I don't ever expect to be anybody's favorite. I don't.
But she said you're second.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Saw a couple more highlighted things I want to grab before we run out of time. Paul Stero saying none of the shippers will honor the overnight guarantee. Take it from a retired UPS driver. So there you go. Absolutely. That has also been my experience. Paul having even more experience having been a former UPS driver. So Lifty32138 says, if the package was insured, you might be able to file a claim with the shipping company or look at the seller's DOA policy / shipping policy. They might offer a refund or replacement. Yes, they may. It's a very valid point. I didn't want to assume the fish were dead before they even got there. But yeah, that's a very valid point. If they do show up late and there's a problem, check the shipper's DOA policy. If there was insurance, you may be able to go through that, but I've never found it viable with fish, particularly trying to get the insurance to cover dead fish. I'm sure somebody's been successful, but I've not. Most people are not. But it's worth a shot. It's always worth a shot. I would probably go to the seller first before I would try haggling with FedEx, UPS, etc. MSC Aquatics says Fish Room Fever. I'm still trying to figure out what plants to use in that 20 high I sent you guys pics of. I would definitely do, I don't know if I would say some carpeting plants. I'd get some shorter grasses in there because you've got some open area around that rock work. So maybe some shorter grasses in there so it's not going to block off the tank. It'd be really cool to see some swords maybe, or something that's going to give it a little bit of height but not block off the rock work, maybe coming out from in between some of the rock work. I don't know, that's just me. It's one of those things people asked. I don't consider myself an aquascaper by any means, but my number one tip is always create something you enjoy looking at. Of course, the caveat to that being make sure that it's, you know, in the best interest of the fish. You know, you don't want a bunch of crazy, sharp, pokey things, and with a big Oscar that's inclined to bump into stuff if they get stirred up, things of that nature. But I mean, create something that you're going to enjoy, and in my opinion, that makes it better. Because hey, if you take something out of a book and you make it look just like the picture and go, well, this tank won 4 awards. If you think it's ugly, you're not gonna just like, oh, this looks like crap. Yeah, I made a show tank, but I don't care for the way it looks. So why did I put this in my house?
You know, in the last week, I've been thinking about aquascaping quite a bit. And I've been thinking about you, me, and Sean, our dynamic of how we do our tanks. And Sean keeps a lot less tanks than us, but he keeps them pristine and beautiful.
Absolutely.
An aquascaped tank takes a lot of work. It's just like having a front yard. You know, you got to mow it every week. I was going to say, put some pearl weed, you know, in front of those rocks, maybe down low. Mm-hmm. And then, but you got to keep mowing it. And then, so you got to get the right tools. So you want to get that scissors with the cool curve on it, so you don't have to go put it all the way down. You know, get a couple cool tools and just have fun with it. I've been doing a lot of looking into it because I really want to make my Megaflex look really nice.
Absolutely. I'm really looking forward to seeing how that thing comes out once you get working on it. Because those are such awesome tanks. I know you'll do an awesome job on it.
Well, and I tried to aquascape almost all, well, not all, but a lot of my 20s I have in my fish room. But the primary goal for those are just to raise guppies and look at the guppies. And I don't keep up on the plants like I should. You know, I let the plants kind of go crazy, you know, and that's not what you do when you want a beautiful, beautiful tank.
Right.
You know, I mean, from a distance, green always looks good.
Yeah.
But when you can look at it inside, it's neat to see the fish swim around, but it's not as neat as the cool stick that I have that you can't see anymore because there's so much vowel in front of it, you know?
Absolutely. So, I think that's a wonderful point because I've done a lot of the same. Maybe a little bit less of the intended initial aquascaping that you mentioned on yours. But I've definitely gone in and like, we're going to plant the sucker up. And, you know, it looks great from a distance. You look at this rack of tanks, whether it's, you know, my 20 longs that have 6 tanks or one of the racks of 10s that has 16 tanks. You look at them and you see all this green from a distance. Oh, wow, that looks awesome. And then you get up close and you're kind of like, this really kind of looks like garbage with all these plants just randomly grown out everywhere, you know?
But if you go to LRB's, it's the same way.
Yeah.
It just says, we don't want to say his place.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Let me preface. His tanks do not look like garbage.
But now you go to Haley's house, her tanks. She is the only person I know that runs on caffeine and premium high octane something gas because she has so much energy. She has probably 20 tanks that are aquascaped, but she's always selling plants out of it too. And that's probably something that James and I, if we would work more at taking all of our bajillions of extra plants and just sell them, that would be one way of keeping them looking more aquascaped.
Well, yeah, that's true. Also, you know, I'm taking serious inventory, and I mentioned this first, taking serious inventory of what tanks I really want to keep up and which ones I don't. Just because I really would rather have, call it the Sean Peck style. You know, okay, maybe I have 12 tanks instead of 40, but they all look really, really nice. They're all really quality pieces. Not necessarily to be like, oh, well, I need to change it to make a video, but I'm using it as an example. Sean Peck could go to any one of his tanks and do a 30-minute video, an enjoyable video, showing the different things, talking about the different features, the different stuff, and show you a very nice looking tank. Whereas mine are not. It's just like, oh, here's a tank. It's got a bunch of stuff in it. Yeah, it's got this rock and this wood and these plants, but it's not aesthetically pleasing. So I think I'm really looking at going towards less tanks, more aesthetically pleasing, and more enjoyable on my end, more enjoyable for you all to look at. So I could definitely appreciate that. Blue Rhino Games says, I had a Cory cat that stayed at the very top for at least a month, but before that he stayed at the bottom for the 2 years that I had him. But at the end of the month, he died. I'm sorry to hear that. Sounds like, especially with it being over a month, may have just been his time. That's one thing when we get fish, we never know really how old they are. May have developed a swim bladder thing. I don't know. Or it may have just been the little guy's time. I am sorry to hear that. It stinks when we lose fish. But given that it wasn't just like an abrupt, like he came out, he did spirals for an hour and he's dead. It may have just been a slower passing. I know a lot of times it's usually like, it was fine, it's done. It's, where am I trying to go with this? It's really hard to know what happened. It's hard enough to know what's happening as it's happening. Retrospect with fish and health is even more difficult, especially not looking at them firsthand. All right, we've only got, well, I guess we were at the hour. I do have to say thank you to a couple more people. I don't have to say thank you, but I really want to say thank you. Just the same as you all didn't have to send super chats and stickers. See if I have anything else I need to grab at the last second before I do that. And then we're going to roll on over to Chattanooga Ed's channel. Last highlighted thing I see is for Paul Stero says, start with Nubius, Java Fern, and some Pogostemon Octopus. They're dead easy and make your tanks look good in no time. Yeah, absolutely. Lisa KG Tropicals. Yeah, thank you, Lisa. I do appreciate it. I really, really do. Thank you for the shirt and the kind note and the stickers. And tell John I said thanks, you jerk. But yeah, I mean, that's a really easy way to make your fish and your tank look really, really good. Let me grab these super chats real quick because I'm not going to bounce out of here without saying a thank you. We had Ray Aquatics with the $1 super sticker throwing that brown pile fertilizer on the stream. Thank you, Ray. Really do appreciate you. Really, really do. I hope you're doing well. I do. I hope you're doing all right. It's always nice to have you around. Super chats or not, always nice to have you here, my friend. And we have Fishaholic, which of course isn't showing on my YouTube on the other channel, but I found it here in the chat. $2 super chat says, for the awesome couple, LOL, stay awesome, guys. Thank you so much, Fishaholic. We did have somebody, it may even have been you, I'll be honest, I don't know who it was, but it was like, you know, you all made my top 10 power couples list for fish tubers in terms of Ed and myself.
I bet we could beat any of them in tug of war.
There you go. Absolutely. John, Lisa, Aquashella, Chicago, tug of war, you are on.
Yep.
No. But thank you. A huge thank you to everybody for hanging out tonight. Of course, my buddy Powell and just overall best friend, Chattanooga Ed. Appreciate you being with me. We're going to go hang out on his channel. Ed, do you want to tell him what we're getting into?
Yep. I'm going to be giving you guys my ideas, and I want your ideas on a checklist on what to take to a fish event. Because last time, James and I have been on a whole bunch of fish events, and normally I'm packed like weeks in advance and I have everything. And when we went to Aquashella, I think I was just so giddy to get out of the house, I left everything. So I'm going to make a list. And I mean, there was things I bought for Aquashella that I left at home. So I'm going to share some of my ideas with you guys, and I would love any feedback from you guys because, I mean, you guys are just as nerdy as me that have some great ideas. So I thought we could all share those and talk about that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fun. So if you're with us live now, we're going to put a link in the chat. You can roll on over. If not, go check out the Chattanooga Ed YouTube channel. I think you'll enjoy what we do over there. A little bit different pace. Same two guys, a little bit different show. Of course, a huge thank you to all the super chatters. I appreciate you all. The moderators, the members, the lurkers, the listeners, the observers, questioners, commentators. I love you guys. I appreciate you being here. Y'all already know what I'm going to say. Until next time, keep your fish healthy. Keep yourselves healthy. Don't be afraid to catch yourself a little fish room fever. And, you know, keep fish keeping, okay? We'll see you next time.